This will be a Visa card, and we're going to name it Visa 0123. Each debt needs to be named. We're going to put in the current balance of the Visa card, which is $1,102.70. Notice I did not put in commas. They're not required, or do we even want commas? But we do want you to use periods to separate dollars and cents. We want to know what the minimum monthly payment is. This is based on your statement from the credit card company. And we want to know what the interest rate is. This will also be on your statement from the credit card company. We have a field here for time till payoff. You don't need to worry about that. When you click the Submit button at the bottom, we will calculate the time till payoff. So that's our first debt. Let's put in a second debt. This is also a Visa card, but we want to make sure that we can keep the two Visa cards separate, so we're going to call this one Visa 3210. This Visa card has a current balance of $387. It has a minimum payment amount of $19.35, and it has an interest rate of 23.5%. Okay, now notice we have lots of fields for credit cards. We have fields for a second mortgage, HELOC, auto loans, student loans, and other. We treat all your debt the same, so if you have more than 10 credit cards, the program will work just fine and accurately calculate your payoff if you were to put a credit card in the second mortgage area or in the student loan area. It doesn't really make any difference. All we've done is we want to remind you of all the possible debt you may have. Now, I'm not going to make you watch me input all this information in. I'm going to pull up a file that is previously saved. This is January 2009. Now, you're going to be able to save all of your data each time you input the information. So you don't have to start with a blank screen every time. All of this information will be there if you go in at a later date, and you can make adjustments in balances. If something gets paid off, you can delete it, things like that. So notice for January 09, we have a number of debts. We have 4 credit cards. We have a second mortgage with Countrywide. We have an auto loan. We named it Honda. It could just as easily be named Ford Motor Credit. It could be Bank of America, just as long as you know how to identify the debt. And then we have a student loan from Harvard for that high-priced education that you received. Once you've entered all the information, we have one other one. You borrowed some money from Mom, $450, and you're making, Mom gave you a great interest rate of 5%, and you have a minimum monthly payment of $75. So notice the system has already calculated the number of months till payoff. Mom's going to be paid off at this point. If you were just to pay Mom the $75 per month and not really use our system, Mom will be paid off in 7 months. Harvard will be paid off in 61 months, and so on. Now we have an option here that if you have some additional money that you would like to dedicate to reducing your debt, this is something that you expect to do for a few months into the future. You can put a dollar amount in here, and then we'll apply that additional money to your debt. In this case, we'll say that you don't have any additional money right now, so we're not going to put a dollar figure in here, but you can always do it later. And if you're receiving like a tax return or some kind of a lump sum payment and you would like to apply that to your debt, you can put the dollar amount in here, and we'll apply that to your debt so that it reduces your time and interest charges as much as possible. I'll show you that in just a second. And then you can choose a start date. We're going to choose a start date of April 1st, or is that May? I guess that's May 2009. Once this information is all in there, we click Submit. Now what we're going to do is generate your plan. We have generated a summary of your savings right here. This is what you're currently paying. You're paying $1,123.41 per month. And you're going to pay off all your debt if you follow the guidelines that are currently in place. You're going to pay off your debt in 5.1 years. If you use the Paxion system, you'll still pay $1,123.41, but you're going to pay off your debt in 3.2 years. You're going to save almost 2 years. Here's a graph that represents the amount of time involved as your debt reduces. And you can see that you'll be paid off in 2012 versus over 2013. Again, your savings would be almost 2 years. Then what we do is we show you each individual debt, and we've listed them in order of priority. So our first priority debt is going to be the debt to mom. And we're going to pay mom $75 per month. We're going to do that until November of 2009, and then mom's going to be paid off. Our last payment to mom will only require $7. MasterCard is going to be our second priority debt. And notice that a couple of the entries in MasterCard are listed in red. And what that means is that for the first few months with MasterCard up until October 2009, we're going to pay the regular monthly minimum payment of $82 to MasterCard. But on the 11th month, November of 2009, mom will be paid off. We're going to take that $75 that you used to pay to mom, and we're going to apply that to MasterCard. And so for November 2009, you'll be making a payment to MasterCard of $150. 1 month later, MasterCard will be paid off. The balance due at payoff is $116. And then we move to our next priority debt, which is American Express. And notice once again we have some American Express payments that are listed in red, which means that we're accumulating the payment amount from previously paid off debt. So until November 2009, or through November 2009, we'll make our minimum monthly payment to American Express of $91. That increases in December of 2009 to $132 because we'll have mom paid off. We'll have MasterCard paid off, except for $116. And we're going to apply that balance to the American Express bill. And so our payment for December of 2009 will be $132. And for January 2010, our payment jumps up to $248. So what we're doing is we're combining, as we pay off a debt, we ask you to continue to pay that same amount of money toward your other debts. And we kind of steamroll or snowball your payments into larger and larger payments so that we're paying off each new priority debt faster.